Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Paramahansa, Bhadravida Acharya Ashtotar, that Sri Srimad Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Bhadravida Acharya Ashtotar, that Sri Srimad His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiri. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhakti bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord who is glorified in transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 23rd day of February 2020 in SanDiego, a reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in the fourth canto, the creation of the fourth order. Chapter 22, Prithu Maharaj's meeting with the four Kumaras. Text number 36. Pade vade chaye bhava guna vyatikararanu natesham vidyate chemam isha vidvangsitashisham pare vare chaye bhava guna vyatikararanu natesham vidyate chemam isha vidvangsitashisham pare vare chaye bhava guna vyatikararanu nachesham vidyate chemam isha vidvangsitashisham pare vare vare chava guna vyatikararanu natesham vidyate chemam isha vidvangsitashisham pare bhava naranu vidyate chemam dasisam vidyate chemam dasisam pare vare bhava guna vyakataranu natesham vidyate chemam isha vidvangsitashisham pare, in the higher status of life, avare, in the lower status of life, cha, and, ye, all those, bhava, conceptions, guna, material qualities, vyatikarat, by interaction, anu, following, na, never, tesham, of them, vidyate, exist, chemam, correction, isha, the Supreme Lord, vidvangsita, destroyed, ashisham, of the blessings. Translation: we accept as blessings different states of higher life, distinguishing them from lower states of life. But we should know that such distinctions exist only in relation to the interchange of the modes of material nature. Actually, these states of life have no permanent existence, for all of them will be destroyed by the Supreme Controller. Purport. In our material existence, we accept a higher form of life as a blessing and a lower form as a curse. This distinction of higher and lower only exists as long as the different material qualities or gunas interact. In other words, by our good activities, we are elevated to the higher planetary systems or to a higher standard of life, good education, beautiful body, etc. These are the results of pious activities. Similarly, by impious activities, we remain illiterate, get ugly bodies, a poor standard of living, etc. But all these different states of life are under the laws of material nature through the interaction of the qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance. However, all these qualities will cease to act at the time of the dissolution of the entire cosmic manifestation. Excuse me. The Lord therefore says in the Bhagavad Gita 8:16, I'll say, you say, Abrahma bhuvana loka punadavartinorjana mamupechita kunteya punarjanma navidyate Even though we elevate ourselves to the highest planetary system by the scientific advancement of knowledge or by the religious principles of life, great sacrifices and fruitive activities, at the time of dissolution, these higher planetary systems and life on them will be destroyed. In this verse, the words Isha vidvangshitashisam indicate that all such blessings will be destroyed by the Supreme Controller. We will not be protected. Our bodies, either in this planet or in another planet, will be destroyed. And again we will have to remain for millions of years in an unconscious state within the body of Mahavishnu. And again, when the creation is manifested, we have to take birth in different species of life and begin our activities. Therefore, we should not be satisfied simply by a promotion to the higher planetary systems. We should try to get out of the material cosmic manifestation, go to the spiritual world, and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is our highest achievement. We should not be attracted by anything material, higher or lower, but should consider them all on the same level. Our real engagement should be in inquiring about the real purpose of life and rendering devotional service to the Lord. Thus we will be eternally blessed in our spiritual activities, full of knowledge and bliss. Regulated human civilization promotes dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. In human society, there must be religion. Without religion, human society is only animal society. Economic development and sense gratification must be based on religious principles. When religion, economic development, and sense gratification are adjusted, liberation from this material birth, death, old age, and disease is assured. In the present age of Kali, however, there is no question of religion and liberation. People have taken interest only in economic development and sense gratification. Therefore, despite sufficient economic development all over the world, dealings in human society have become almost animalistic. When everything becomes grossly animalistic, dissolution takes place. This dissolution is to be accepted as Isha vidvangshitashisam. The Lord's so-called blessings of economic development and sense gratification will be conclusively dissolved by destruction. At the end of this Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as the incarnation of Kalki, and his only business will be to kill all human beings on the surface of the globe. After that killing, another golden age will begin. We should therefore know that our material activities are just like childish play. Children may play on the beach, and the father will sit and watch his children this childish play, the construction of buildings with sand, the construction of walls, and so many things. But finally the father will ask the children to come home. Then everything is destroyed. Persons who are too much addicted to the childish activities of economic development and sense gratification are sometimes especially favored by the Lord when he destroys their construction of these things. It is said by the Lord, Yasyaham anagunnami hadishye tadhanang shanai. The Lord told Yudhishthira Maharaj that the Lord's special favor is shown to his devotee when he takes away all the devotee's material opulences. Generally, therefore, it's experienced that Vaishnavas are not very opulent in the material sense. When a Vaishnava or a pure devotee tries to be materially opulent, at the same time desires to serve the Lord, Supreme Lord, his devotional service is checked. The Lord, in order to show him a special favor, destroys his so-called economic development and material opulences. Thus, the devotee, being frustrated in his repeated attempts at economic development, ultimately takes solid shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord. This kind of action may also be accepted as Isha vidvangshitashisam, whereby the Lord destroys one's material opulences, but enriches one in spiritual understanding. In the course of our preaching work, we sometimes see that materialistic persons come to us and offer their obeisances to take blessings, which means they want more and more material opulences. If such material opulences are checked, such persons are no longer interested in offering obeisances to the devotees. Such materialistic persons are always concerned about their economic development. They offer obeisances to the saintly persons or the Supreme Lord and give something in charity for preaching work with a view that they will be rewarded with further economic development. However, when one is sincere in his devotional service, the Lord obliges the devotee to give up his material development and completely surrender unto him. Because the Lord does not give blessings of material opulence to his devotee, people are afraid of worshipping Lord Vishnu because they see that the Vaishnavas, who are worshippers of Lord Vishnu, are poor in superficial material opulences. Such materialistic persons, however, get immense opportunity for economic development by worshipping Lord Shiva, for Lord Shiva is the husband of the goddess Durga, the proprietor of this universe. By the grace of Lord Shiva, a devotee gets the opportunity to be blessed by the goddess Durga. Ravana, for example, was a great worshipper and devotee of Lord Shiva, and in return he got all the blessings of goddess Durga, so much so that his whole kingdom was constructed of golden buildings. In Brazil, in this present age, huge quantities of gold have been found, and from historical references in the Puranas, we can guess safely that this was Ravana's kingdom. This kingdom was, however, destroyed by Lord Ramchandra. By studying such incidents, we can understand the full meaning of Isha Vidvangsitashisham. The Lord does not bestow material blessings upon the devotees, for they may be entrapped again in this material world by continuous birth, death, old age, and disease. Due to materialistic opulences, persons like Ravana become puffed up for sense gratification. Ravana even dared to kidnap Sita, who was both the wife of Lord Ram and the goddess of fortune, thinking that he would be able to enjoy the pleasure potency of the Lord. But actually, by such action, Ravana became vidvangsita, or ruined. At the present moment, human civilization is too much attached to economic development and sense gratification, and is therefore nearing the path of ruination. Om jnana timarandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmiritam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So it is quite lengthy and rich purport. Srila Prabhupada speaks about the subject of this verse, and there's a theme here, and that is that the son of Kumara is very much trying to discourage King Prithu, who after all is a king and has an opportunity to cultivate material blessings and material desires and economic development, discouraging him from that because all of these kind of blessings, material blessings, are destroyed by the Lord in the form of time. All of these states of life, whether you go up to Brahma Loka, or you go down to Patala Loka, or you go somewhere in between, they have no permanent existence, for all of them will be destroyed by the Supreme Controller. They're a result of the different modes of nature acting. And those modes of nature are inherent in material prakriti. Prakriti, kriyamanani, gunai karmani sarvasha. Everything is being done in this world by the interaction of these modes of nature. Ahankara vimunatma kartaham iti manyate. One who is bewildered by false ego thinks, I'm doing it. My hard work has created all this, and now I'm going to enjoy it. But the whole thing is just a temporary, like a dream. You know, if you have a really nice dream, you can really get into it, and you completely forget that it's just temporary. You think it's real. But then you wake up, and you're back in your bed or wherever you are, and it's just so-called real life takes over. But Prabhupada says that it's just a night dream and a daydream. Your daily life is also a dream. It's just as ephemeral. It's just built on concoctions of this means that, I can enjoy this. And ultimately the whole thing just goes poof because of the force of time. Everything is destroyed. So again and again and again, the Vedic literature encourages us to turn our attention and our aspirations away from the temporary and fix it on the eternal. Because the only result of absorbing ourselves in all of these varieties of material states is another rebirth, another suffering of birth, old age, disease, and death. And if we keep doing it, eventually we'll merge into the body of Mahavishnu and sleep for a long, long, long time. Hundreds of millions of years. And it'll just be suspended animation. So it's a big postponement of actually using the human form of life as it should be used. And as it probably begins this purport, higher and lower only exist as long as the different material qualities interact. But they don't always interact. Eventually this world is destroyed and there's a complete stasis or equilibrium. And there's not even a manifestation of the Mahatattva, which is all of the ingredients, and everything becomes suspended. So the point is that the whole meaning of human life is to escape from the bonds of this temporary, asat. Asat means, or the ocean of bhava. Bhava means becoming. That's the same thing as asat. Bhava sagara, you know. Or sometimes it's described as a deep well. Why is it a well? Because you can't get out, and you also can't understand what's outside the well. You're trapped in this well of ignorance and suffering. And how can you get out of this well? I was just thinking of a verse. Oh, that verse we once memorized. Remember? Ahustate nandanava padara vindam yogeshadaya vidivichinta magara bodhe sangsara kupa patito tadanava lambam geham jishama bimanas yudaya sadhana. This is a verse uttered by the gopis when they met Krishna at Kurukshetra. And along with Radharani, she was there, of course, and they were very happy to see him again, but they wanted to bring him back to Vrindavan because the mood in Kurukshetra was not the same. He was there with 16,108 queens, and they had all the chariots and the retinue and all the horses and the noise and the dust. The mood was not Vrindavan mood. So Radharani has this famous verse that was spoken or written down by Rupa Goswami, and she's speaking to a friend. She says, "Priyak soyam Krishna sahachati guru cheta militas tatam saradha taridama bhayo sangama sukham." Oh, my dear friend, I've met my very dear friend Krishna on this battlefield, and I'm Kurukshetra. I'm the same Radharani. He's the same Krishna, but still my heart longs to take him back to the bank of the Yamuna and hear him playing that flute in a fifth scale. This is what my heart. So the gopis together are praying that Krishna's lotus feet will be eternally manifest in their heart, and they have this one very nice description, the third line: Sangsara kupa patito tadanava. So sangsara kupa means the well. Patita. Everyone in this material world has fallen into this well of samsara, birth, old age, disease, and death. And samsara just doesn't mean birth, old age, disease, and death. It means the bewilderment of thinking that that's all there is, that this material life and my material life now, this is it, And the outer materialist thinks it's just one shot, It's only one time around. And so I better try to enjoy as much as possible. There's these four goals: dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and they only worry about those middle two, economic development and sense gratification. And then when I run out of cash, more economic development, more sense gratification. That's the whole program. But that's virtual suicide for the soul. That ensures sinful activities, and in this age it probably means 100% going down, losing the human form of life, which is what Krishna says is the greatest danger for human beings. So that's not what human life is meant for. You have to come to the point of dharma. Baba says without religion, meaning dharma, then human life is nothing but animal life. You know this verse, Balaram. Ahara nidra bhayamaitunamcha samanyameta pashabhi samana dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesho dharme nihina pashabhi samana. Thank you. So we share these four basic animalistic propensities with the animals. It's not surprising because we've come up through the animals in the species, so we have many of the. And as we all eat, we sleep, we have sex, and we defend. The most prominent one, the one that trumps all the others, is defense. You may be eating, sleeping, or mating, but if there's some danger, you immediately go for the defense. Anyway, so those we do and the animals do. So what differentiates us? Not some polished eating, eating in a restaurant or sleeping in a penthouse. That's not the differentiation. It's still the same quality. It's dharma. It's dharma. That's what makes human beings human. And without that dharma, it's just polished animal life, which means it's self-defeating. It's a tragic loss of an opportunity. That's really what's going on. So then the question is, what is the Dharma? Because one has to understand the context of how these words are used. In Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, Prabhupada, he distinguished it from religion as religiosity. Prabhupada's lingo is important to understand. Means cheating religion. Religion simply for some material motivation. And that even includes, ultimately moksha. But at least for now, let's just understand it mostly includes some, money, safety, cure my friend's disease, whatever, That's where people go. Mostly for safety, to protect me from, the ravages of the material world. But anyway, that's, but the idea is also that if you're very strict and religious, like the Protestant ethic, I always bring that up because that was, prominent in the early days of this country before it was even, became a country, where the Protestants came to escape persecution in England and other places, So they found it. They were the first. So they had this idea, if we're just, because they believed in God, they were God-fearing. And they said, well, we'll build the church, and we'll go every Sunday and pray like anything for, to God and sing the hymns and do the whole thing. And then we'll prosper. This is the early version of prosperity theology, they call it, something like that. Huh? Is it something they call it? Yeah. So, which has become completely distorted. I mean, Jesus was all about, helping the poor and the helpless, They said, well, if you're poor and you're helpless, that means you're a sinner. The rich are the really saintly ones because they're rich, and we want to be rich. It's a whole distortion. But anyway, this idea is exactly like Dharma and Artha. If you're very, careful, and in the Vedic culture, you perform the sacrifices nicely in karma kanda, then you'll prosper. Artha means economic development. And by that prosperity, you'll be able to enjoy sense gratification. So our Dharma, Artha, Kama, Dharma, Artha, Kama. That's the idea. Now in the present day, people have become so materialistic, they're worshipping the material energy and manipulating it through science and technology, that many of them give up religion. It's just Artha and Kama, which is disastrous for the soul. But that's not the real Dharma that's spoken of. The very, very beginning of Bhagavatam, this idea is very prominent. Second verse of the whole book, out of 18,000, the Dharma Projitakaitavotra. Here in this Bhagavatam, which is the ripened fruit of all the Vedic knowledge, you don't need to read all the Vedas and everything. You just read this one book and follow it. So it immediately kicked out all cheating religion. Now, how is that defined? That we need from the commentators. So, any materially motivated religion. So that's what people are following. In other words, they're not really following real Dharma. And Sridhar Swami says, even up to the point of moksha. But, we're in a context here, because you have to see what context you're reading in. And he says, if you recall, was it last verse? Out of the four principles, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, liberation has to be taken very seriously. The other three are subject to destruction by the stringent law of nature, death, or time. So, now, so out of those four, mukti, or liberation, has to be taken seriously. But the Bhagavatam begins with Dharma Projitakaitavo, and Sridhar Swami, the primary commentator on the Bhagavatam, says that one of these cheating religions, even up to the point of moksha or mukti, that's also ultimately a personal desire. See, the whole idea is that real bhakti and our natural state, we have to realize that we've been in our natural consciousness for eons, for all of these births. It's not natural for the soul to be embodied in this gross body, and it's really gross, People forget that. That's part of Maya's trick. But so now I know. Now I believe. I understand. I'm a soul, and I've been entrapped in this body due to material desires and so forth. So now I want to get free from birth, old age, disease, and death. I want to escape from the sufferings of this material world. Now that's ultimately a material desire. I want to enjoy freedom from pain, right? Okay. So that also ultimately comes within the purview of cheating religion. But here we learn that moksha should be taken seriously. And in the second chapter, which deals with this dharma, artha, kama, moksha, as we're supposed to understand it, it says, dharma yapavargasya. Dharma is meant for apavarga, which means liberation. Narto tai upakalpate. It's not meant for artha. So right away he's challenging the whole structure of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. You see, this is Sutta Goswami's first teachings to the sages. What is real dharma? Because if you don't know what dharma is, then you're flying blind. You think, oh, this is good, I'll go here, this is good. I'll build up this, I'll exploit this, I'll build, It's an essential thing for human beings to understand what actual dharma is and follow it. So what is he saying there? Dharma se yapavargasa. Apavarga is a word that means liberation. I think probably several of you haven't heard this way of explaining the word apavarga, which is very illustrative. You probably remember it, the pavargas. It's always good to review it. So sometimes they do that. The Sanskrit language is so rich that the commentators, they analyze a certain word and more meaning and richness comes out. So apavarga means negating pavarga. So what is this pavarga? So one of the meanings of varga is letters, the letters of the alphabet. And in the Sanskrit, if you go into the Sanskrit pronunciation guide at the end of any of the big books, you'll find a chart with all the letters, the consonants and the vowels, you see? And among the consonants, they're categorized according to which letter begins the series. It's kind of technical, and I don't have a chart to show you. But there's a certain group of letters that begin with P, or that start with P. They're labials. They're pronounced from the lips. Pa, pa, ba, ba, B-H-A, ba, as in bhaya, and am, ma. So there's 5 of them. Those are the pa vargas. Those are the pa letters, because the series begins with pa. So each one of them stands for a certain negative experience in the material world. So pa is parishrama. Parishrama means really hard work. If you just want to, prosper materially, 99.9% of the people, outside of the 0.0001%, they're working like crazy, working really hard to get ahead, and many of them don't get ahead, but they work like. So that's very hard work. And so much so that you foam at the mouth. That's painila, that's the pH, you see? It's like the horse. You've seen horses, going to get real tight. So then you have the B. Now the B stands for 2 things. Bandha means bondage. You're getting bound up by all this work. And the other is bhyartata, which means futility. Although you're working very, very hard, you're really not making much, headway, as you probably experienced. So bhyartata. And then from all of this, working hard, trying to support this and trying to defend, bhaya, fear. Because gradually time goes on, your body gets weaker, things fall apart. There's a whole lot of fear involved, so that's bhaya. These are different elements. Hard work, foaming at the mouth, bondage and useless labor, and fear. And finally, the big M, mrityu, death. That's the end of the whole thing. And then you start again the next life. So we want to get out of this pavarga, bondage, material life, by the process of yoga, by the process of bhakti, by the process of dharma. So he says dharma is meant for liberation, not for artha and kama. And he defines that dharma, which produces liberation, as a byproduct, as savaipungsang paro dharma, the supreme dharma. Savaipungsang paro dharma, yato bhakti hoksige. That dharma, whatever it is you may be doing, whatever your religion is, it has to evoke love of God. Bhakti yoga prayoja dharma svanusthitak pung. I'm sorry. Savai pungsang parodam yato bhakti adhokshaja. Tu adhokshaja. Now who is adhokshaja? That's Krishna. It means the transcendent Lord. He was beyond the purview. You don't know exactly who he is right when you begin the dharma. When you walk in the door, you haven't read anything yet. Then you learn very quickly, oh, it's Krishna. It's the most beautiful, attractive, all-powerful person like that. But that's why he's called Adhokshaja. There's no description there except that he's transcendental, beyond your ability to see. But it's God. And then comes the kicker, which he says, well, I'm religious. I love God. My religion teaches me. Well, here's the test. Ahoitu ki apratiyata. Your religion, you didn't practice it once a week. This is uninterrupted and unmotivated. No material motivation. You can't pray to God for your daily bread and your safety and all this and that, and that's going to evoke bhakti. That doesn't evoke bhakti. That's God as the order supplier. That's not God as your. What it means is you're looking how to glorify, how to serve, how to benefit God. You're taking your cue from Him. What does He want? Just like Arjuna, he was covered by Krishna's will, so that he was presenting a materialistic idea in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He loved his friends, even the sons of Dhritarashtra who tried to kill him in many ways. He says, I can't stand to live without them. And what about my teacher and the exalted grandfather of everybody, Bhishma Dev? No way I'm going to try to kill them. It was all a material calculation based on bodily relationship, you see. So he was not showing the real Dharma, and he said, I'm bewildered of my real Dharma. I'm recognizing that. We have to come to that point. I don't know. I'm completely bewildered. Please instruct me. And if we're fortunate, we understand, we go to the right source of knowledge. So this has to be unmotivated, means no material motivation, and uninterrupted. Where you find that, in ordinary people? No. Even if you're a very religious Catholic, or Christian, it's because you can't be unmotivated and uninterrupted unless you're feeling some attraction for the Lord and you're inspired to do it every day, and eventually every moment. And that means you have to have detailed information about the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of God. Otherwise, there's no question of love developing. There's no question of attraction. Just like if you're going to, fall in love with somebody. Okay, first comes the form, then you talk to them. There's a whole lot of things you have to know to see them. So just some vague idea of the all-powerful God, that produces fear or order supplier, mood of religion. That's what happens actually. So the idea is that this dharma, you say dharma se yapavargasa, but if you actually practice this dharma, and brings up the point we dealt with yesterday, and that is how Krishna and his representatives, they strategize. You want to say Krishna strategizes, but they develop a means, just like Lord Chaitanya. How can I get people into it who are so fallen that the last thing they're going to think about is, the truth, the absolute truth, and what differentiate matter from spirit? They're too fallen. This is the age of Kali, So Lord Chaitanya started this whole celebratory religion. You just come out, you dance and chant. You chant Hare Krishna. That's the first thing. Whoever you are, you could be the most greatest sinner, jagai, madai, murderers, rapists, doesn't matter. You surrender and you chant and dance, and everything will be given. You'll become so purified and you'll attain the highest state. So Prabhupada was faced with a similar task when he came to America. It was an advantage that nobody knew anything about Krishna, because in India they said, we know about Krishna already. You know what I mean? We already know about Krishna. So he couldn't make any headway there because they figured they already had it covered. So he comes to America where no one knows anything, and there's a few who are ready to learn, and he could fill them up with the actual truth. And so he had actual sincere followers. And we should try to follow in that footstep. It's like, what is that? I always forget to say, I don't know the Sanskrit, but Prabodhananda Saraswati has this verse about teaching us how to preach. With a straw in your mouth, you approach the person, oh, you're so learned and everything. Now forget everything you know, and just surrender to Lord Chaitanya. The mercy of Lord Chaitanya. But that's this movement. Okay, come, have a feast, see the beautiful deities. That's also people just appreciate the beauty. Prabhupada said they just walk in and appreciate how wonderful the deities are. That's a big step forward. They may or may not take a book and get serious, but at least they're moving to the right way. So at a certain point, you give up or you stop even caring about liberation. But in the initial stage, that's a very important impetus. Because you're not going to be spontaneously attracted to Krishna. We're too fallen, But if you understand, my God, that's the reality. I'm going to die soon, And I know that, and now that I really do believe in karma and reincarnation, that's a very important first step. That there's another life. I better get serious. If you start chanting out of fear of God, that's great. Somehow or other, to start chanting. So somehow or other to get you motivated. So I like to give this analogy. You haven't heard it, maybe you heard it once. And that is like, it's not really an analogy, it's just a description of reality. Is that we're faced at every moment with threats to our well-being, right? By 3 different categories of miseries. Adhyatmic, I woke up this morning, had some pain over here, this is going to get old. What's happened to my legs, That's just life. So that's there. And then you have, and of course, which leads ultimately to some serious disease, that's threatening. And then you have, what about adibautic miseries? Adibautic is other living beings, whether it's like billions of locusts who are about to increase 50 times, and are eating all your food. Who thought of that's going to happen, Or our dear leader, who is, destroying. Anyway, I don't have to say anything more. There's always some threat. That's other beings, yourself, other beings, and then you have natural disturbances. Now, some of those natural disturbances we understand are aggravated by what we do. So there's a mixture. All this fossil fuel, that's human beings putting it out there, poisoning the world, with all of these agrochemicals and things which they lie about. I mean, we're like, we're threatened by all that. So the idea is that the idea of trying to get a peaceful, happy, organically grown lifestyle in this world is ridiculous. There's no safety. It's very urgent. We need to practice intense devotional service to escape this world entirely, and come to a position of peace and happiness. And the only possible piece of happiness in this world is to be transcendental to all this craziness, so that whatever happens to you, even if it's some severe thing, and that's what's spoken of in here, about how Prabhupada really related to this this verse that Krishna speaks, that when I really show my mercy to someone, I take away all their wealth. Now, Prabhupada's history is very interesting because he was a householder. He had 5 children, he had a business, and he was already committed to that before he met his spiritual master. I think he had 1 child, or at least his wife was pregnant already. And so, he was responsible. So he wasn't about to leave all that and take sannyas, although he sometimes wished that he had met his spiritual master earlier. But then so he was running this business and at the same time helping the Gaudiya Math in so many ways and chanting, and he was initiated. And he tried to make a go of that business, but somehow or other it didn't go. There was some theft involved. He lost this, lost that. It collapsed. And he even directly said, it was not my speculation, that he said that this verse now, this is what Krishna was doing. He was ruining his material prospects to bring him, as Prabhupada himself said, I was horrified at the prospect of sannyas. But then eventually his sannyas guru, Keshava Maharaj, Bhagyan Keshava Maharaj, encouraged him, and he realized, yes, it's really, and he had dreams. The spiritual master would come in his dreams to encourage him to take sannyas. Because it tremendously facilitates preaching, to have no ties like that and be able to travel everywhere, So anyway, that's, Krishna, this is really the nature of our conditioning, is that we're torn. We still have so many tendencies toward material life, but if we cultivate the knowledge and our association, then we can have real understanding, and on the basis of real understanding, practice devotional service with sincerity and determination. It takes determination. We're so conditioned, it's easy to fall back into material consciousness. So Krishna, when he sees the struggling devotee, he's really struggling, he'll take away the facilities for material life. And then you have no choice but to surrender. Hare Krishna, save me. I'll end with this nice prayer from Uddhava, which is very pertinent to this, because he's speaking about time, how time is the all-destroyer, destroyed by the Supreme Controller in the form of time. He takes away all of our hopes for happiness and security in this world. So Uddhava great intimate devotee of Krishna, and he was the last recipient of Krishna's instructions. In the 11th canto, you read the Uddhava Gita. It's very important and very wonderful. So in one prayer, in the middle of it, he's encouraging Krishna to go on speaking, as Parikka does also, here. And he says, Dashtam janam sampatitam bilesmin kala hina chuddu sukoru tarsham samudharayanam kripayabhavargai vachobirasincha mahanubhava. Oh great Lord, I am being bitten. I've fallen into this big snake hole called the material world. This snake hole, if you fall into a snake hole, there's a lot of danger. And I'm being bitten by the snake of time. Kala ahina. Kala, kala means time. Ahina is a snake. And here's the kicker, because he says, even though I know that, and we know that, still I have this tremendous thirst for insignificant sense gratification, even though I'm in the middle of this dangerous snake hole. So therefore, please lift me up completely. Samudharayanam. Please deliver me from this danger. How? By speaking your nectarian words, which bring about liberation. Apavarga is in here. Vachobadasincha mahanubhava. Sprinkle them upon me. Pour these nectar words on you, and this way lift me up out of this. It's a beautiful verse. A lot of metaphors in there. So that should be our mood in hearing these shastras, taking them in and just drinking it in as a salvation. Is strengthen our intelligence and our minds so we become determined to stay on the devotional path, which is really the Sanatan Dharma, the eternal religion of every soul, is to be situated in unmotivated, uninterrupted, pure devotional service to Krishna. Okay. Any questions, comments? Do we have the mic activated? Succinct. Okay, Heather?
That was one of the best talks I ever heard.
Okay, no praise.
It was really good. You made a lot of really good points, and you covered, basically the foundation with the points that you made.
Okay, all glories to Prabhupada. What's your question or comment? I mean, beside that.
It took me a long time to even get the idea that this is animal life, this body thing, right? And I really like the way that you put that out there, because we're running around. Most people, including myself, we're running around going, "Well, I'm this thing." Yeah, that's an illusion. But that's a very important point, that you go, "Wait a minute, somebody just stuffed me in a chipmunk."
Yeah. That's the first. Yeah, that's the first lesson of Bhagavad Gita, to get beyond the bodily concept of life. Thank you for that. Anything else? Okay, we'll end on a high note with a nice little poem. I did this one. You weren't there, I don't think, at the Shivaratri. Vrindavan's rivers, lakes, and hills ring out with charming hums and trills, as flocks of birds and maddened bees rejoice among the flowering trees. To those idyllic woods and glens repairs Govinda with his friends, Sri Rama and the cowherd boys, to taste the most exquisite joys. And as they walk along the way, absorbed in herding and in play, Sri Krishna, beauty absolute, begins to play his mystic flute. With peacock plume upon his head and fragrant flower on each ear, he enters Braja's woods with tread sublime, a dancer without peer. His golden yellow raiment glows, his garland reaches to his knees, and from his lips the nectar flows and fills his flute with melodies. As Krishna thus begins his day, with friends who sing his glory sweet, he beautifies the forest way with fine impressions of his feet. Samadhi culminates in this, to always see this scene of bliss within oneself and outside too. May Krishna give this boon to you. Hare Krishna. Glories to Prabhupada. And one note on the word repair. I don't know if you know that the word repair can mean go. We don't usually understand that, but that's why I use the word repair, because it rhymed with something. If you look it up in the dictionary, you see it's another meaning of the word repair. To go, it's like a French word or something. All right.